So there's three big takeaways this week that I wanted to share with you. One, what would I do differently if I could do this past week again? Two, the importance of having a great coaching staff. And three, team play. If I was a varsity coach and had a team I was working with that was struggling, maybe taking over a new program that didn't have a high skill level, what were some of the main things that I would focus on? So I'm Steve Kramer of Kramer Basketball. If you're brand new to the podcast, to the YouTube channel, to Coach's Edge, welcome. And on this channel, we try to share helpful information, helpful podcasts with Coach's Edge for predominantly high school coaches, but youth coaches, college coaches, anywhere around the world. So as I finished week 3 of our summer camp tour, we work with approximately 175 athletes from with camp locations in Michigan and Ohio. We had some athletes from Indiana. We had at least one athlete from Georgia, a couple from Georgia. We had a couple from one from Illinois. So it was cool to get some people from different parts of the country working with us throughout the course of the week. But it was a very busy week, and one of my takeaways um, was if you always ask yourself, if I could do it over, how would I do it differently? What would I change when you're running a basketball camp for a high school program, junior high program? And I showed a lot of wisdom with that question because it's something that I ask myself a lot. It's probably something I should ask others more. The very first camp we ran was at Central Noble High School, and it was about a 6-hour camp. And the varsity coach, Coach Malcolm, shout out, Coach's Edge member, after the camp, we sit down and we're chatting. We talk basketball for like an hour after that camp. He said, "So if you could do it all over, what would you do differently?" And I thought that was a really wise question because he saw for 6 hours what I did. And so you don't have as many questions about what you did. You got questions about, well, if you could do it again, well, like, what would you change? And, that's essentially what I'm asking myself as I kind of go over every day and every workout, just kind of reflecting on it. And the things that I would change as a, you know, player development coach running camps this past week is I'd slow down, I'd do less. Um, Attack camp in Bowling Green, Ohio, we usually run that camp for 3. We've even run it for 4 days. And this year, because the gym was canceled for on Juneteenth, like the facility was closed. And so it was a 2-day camp this year. And so I felt like I tried to pack more in. And looking back, I could have just done even less. I just felt rushed. I felt like I wanted to throw in as much information as I could during those 2 days. Instead, I just should have treated the 2 days for what they were, and done less, done fewer drills, spent more time with each drill, spent more time teaching um, actions, spent more time on reads, spend more time on the execution of a specific move instead of, quick, okay, here's this we can work on, then let's go to this one we can work on, and this finish we can work on, this dribble, we can attack, and just spent more time on fewer things. That's something I would have taken away. And then that carried over. We had 2 one-day camps towards the end of the week, one in Michigan, one in Ohio. And because I was only there for 1 day, I wanted to pack as much in as I possibly could. But again, to do it over again, I wouldn't do as much. I'd just spend more time on fewer things and try to dive in a little bit more. We did have a camp in the middle of the week for 2 days in Sandusky, Michigan, especially the high school group, pretty advanced. I mean, they went 23-2 last year, lost in the quarterfinals, won a league, a district, regional. That one I wouldn't really change, hardly anything. That camp was really great, and it was enough. I felt like my lesson plan was better. I didn't put as much um, content into it. So we really took a deep dive into, the pro hop and the spin move and stride stop, variety of different finishes. We spent a lot of time trying one-on-one and different variations. And so that's something that I felt pretty good about. Obviously, at different camps, I mean, we work with about 175 players this year. You're going to get, or this week. So you're going to get players that are checking out, maybe don't love basketball. Mom and dad made them come, things like that. There's only so much you can do. Like you can't totally light a fire for somebody who's coming in and they're because we'll get kids that are kind of pissed at mom and dad that they even send them to camp. And it's like, man, why'd you send them? Because if they don't like basketball, I don't want them here either. Because this is a lot of basketball. Like we're getting after it. Um, but my hope for everyone that comes to our camps is they leave feeling like, man, this Coach Kramer guy, like he's serious and he loves this game and he's passionate about this game. And he's not just passionate about this game, but he's passionate about me getting better at it. And I always hope that as coaches, that's something that we can leave, because that applies to other things, not just basketball. If you are a person that works with others, they may not like how you go about your business. They may not like your style. They may not like you, whatever that might be. But my hope is they could say when they're done interacting with you, like that dude really cares, or that woman really cares about what they do. And that's what I hope at the very least people are able to say about me after one of our basketball camps. Man, that guy he really cares about what he does and pushing and challenging others to get after it and get better. So that's one thing on what I would do differently. I think it's a good question for us to always ask ourselves, reflect, not in a negative way, not to beat up ourselves, but just to comb through and refine our coaching. Zach York, shout out to him. He was our assistant coach for 2 days in Sandusky. And the importance of having a good assistant coach. That's number two on my notes that I've written down for this little podcast is making sure your staff is on the same page. So Zach has got one more college year, Grand Rapids Grace Christian. Great dude, high IQ, very successful high school basketball player, still working on his game. We love having college players come in that we've trained to help out at our camps. They have the experience, they have the skills to demonstrate and to teach, and they have the life experience of what it's like to be in somebody else's shoes. That's a big deal. But also the importance of being on the same page with your coaching staff. And Zach and I have known each other for quite a while now. But how important it is to have staff when you go into a practice, to a game, to a camp, and you're on the same page, um, coaching hard. What are you emphasizing? You can give one another like a quick look or a quick chat during a water break or lunch break or before or after a session. Be like, yeah, Roger that. Like we're on the same page. You can talk about specific players and be like, hey, like keep an eye on this player. They might need an extra push, right? This player here looks like they're struggling with, their shooting. Like, let's give them a little bit more attention on this next drill. So and so might need a partner or just like help them out, help them walk through the drill. Looks like they're struggling. The importance of having a good assistant coach and just make sure you're on the same page and that you support one another. Like if I ask Zach to share something and he shares some, it may not be something that was on my frame of mind, right? As far as what I just saw players do, but it doesn't mean he's not wrong. So if he says something, I'm going to back him up. Like, I'm going to be like, absolutely. Because truthfully, like, he's right. He may see something out of a small sided game that I didn't see. And so I say, Zach, what are your thoughts? What are your tips? He shares something different than what I saw. Great. And I'm gonna gas that up and promote what Zach said because he's right on the money. I may have seen something off ball where we need to work on spacing and moving without the ball. He may have seen the exact same drill and saw something about how we need to attack a little bit tighter, right? Just as an example. Well, we're both right. But if that's what he's emphasizing, I'm gonna emphasize it too. And then vice versa. Like he might have seen something different, but like if we're trying to hit home like one quick point and then keep it moving, same thing. He's gonna back me up with what I saw. So it's very important for those little things, and also like as a whole. What's the 1, 2, 3 keys that we're trying to concentrate on this week or this day? Are we on the same page with that? Are we good to keep that the main focus? And to have staff that are on the same page and supporting one another is huge. You never want a kid to come to a camp or anything and they're hearing different things from different coaches, which unfortunately happens a lot at other camps. Last thing, if I was a varsity basketball coach taking over a program and my team was struggling, right? So we work with some teams that have new coaches and they'll reach out, what do you think? They'll be like, Steve, this week was an example, Steve, my first year coaching, he's like, you work with tons of teams and players. You worked with my team for a day. What do you think? Um, think especially for girls basketball, if you work on transition offense, transition defense, and skill development, I'd place those three things at a high priority, and a high percentage of what we do with our practice time would be on those things. Um, you're not if you have a struggling program, younger program, I think it's going to be very difficult to get into a lot of detail with half court offense with a ton of specific concepts. I think we need to make things pretty simple from that half court aspect of the game. I also think that if you are a team that struggles offensively handling the ball, you're not going to get a lot of those half court situations anyway, because teams are going to pressure you. They're going to push you out of what you're trying to run. They're going to try to speed you up and turn you over. So why not just work on that? Work on press break, work on transitioning the basketball defensively to offensively, and making your offense as simple as possible, because we can't get too complicated. They're not ready for that yet. And then same thing defensively, transition defense. If you're a team that's going to struggle on offense, but you could throw a lot of players in there, I would press, I would half court trap, I would try to make the game ugly, because if you just try to out execute a team that has more skilled players, more mature players, higher basketball IQ, you're going to get beat every time. So why not work on your transition offense, your full court defense? That could be transition defense. That would also involve like pressing in different situations and things of that nature. So you can try to make this game ugly it up a little bit, right? And then the third thing to work on is you got to spend a ton of time on skills, because if this is the team, they don't have skills, right? Ball handling, finishing, right? Things as simple as like passing and pivoting, which I think a lot of time we take for granted. Like what's one of the things that maybe most of us need to practice more, passing and pivoting. I think as coaches, we have in our mind the thought that, well, our kids should have that down already. Well, but if they don't, they're not going to magically get it. You need to spend more time passing and pivoting, and doing drills that require no dribble, or maybe you play possession where like, hey, only one player. You play 3-on-3, but only one player can dribble, right? Like different small sided games, little different variations and rules can go a long way. And trying to speed the game up for some of these lower level teams, so that they can figure out, okay, when we're playing the team down the road on a Tuesday night in the conference game, they're just going to press us, and they're going to press us and press us and press us. And so if they're going to press us the whole game, much of our preparation for the game should be press break. But I think some of that should start even in the summertime, and like if you can't hold on to the ball, teams are just going to press you. They're going to get layups, and it's going to suck, and it's going to be very frustrating year. So work on those things before basketball season comes around. So those are the big three. Ask yourself, what would you do differently? Surround yourself with a great coaching staff, and then think about where you're at from a team standpoint and how you continue to get better. Thanks for listening to the Coach's Edge podcast. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Appreciate you guys. If there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. We'll continue to upload new resources on the coachesedge.coach website. And as much as I am very fired up for the remainder of the summer, we have, let's see, one more week, and then week of 4th of July off, and then 5 more weeks of camp. And I'm fired up for all of it. Like, it's going to be amazing. I'm also excited to reconnect with more of our coachesedge.coach members when our camp season finishes up, and see how I can help you even more. Thanks for listening to the Coach's Edge podcast. Get after it today.